How many books have you bought so far this year? Hey guys, it's Abby from Abby of Paranor, and today I'm going to be telling you all of the books that I've gotten in the second quarter of 2021. So we're halfway through the year, which is a utter fucking madness, but it does mean that it's time to show you guys what I've gotten for my second quarter of the books that I've hauled there. What I do in my bullet journal is I track down every single book that I get each month, if I get any. This is the ones that I've gotten in April, May and June. So far as of filming, which is about the... Oh, I'm filming on Juneteenth, so as of filming I don't have any books for June. If I do, I'll insert them at the end of the video there, but let's get on with the ones that I got in May... April and May. So, we're going to go in chronological order. First up, we have Dead or Alive by Landy. This is the 14th, 15th, I get confused, book in the Skulduggery Pleasant series. You guys know I adore this series. I have a standalone video, I'm part of the Dead Famous read-along, and of course I read this one. Of course I did. I had got this pre-ordered, the signed limited edition from Waterstones, and so it arrived in the mail and I read it. Of course. Then, two books that were presents from Carrie from Caring for Books. I will link her channel down below. The first one is Black Sun by Roanhorse. This is a fantasy book written by an Indigenous American author, and I frowned there because I was like, is it Indigenous American? She's Indigenous to the area that we call North America. And so this I haven't read yet, but I'm so excited to read. I've heard fantastic things about Roanhorse, and I'm so excited to delve into this. I'm hoping to add it to a TBR soonish. And the second book that Carrie got me, that I also haven't read yet, is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown, sorry. And this is a fantasy book written by a black woman, and I believe she's American. I don't know for certain, I'm assuming she's American because it's quite big on BookTube, so most likely American. This is absolutely gorgeous, just... and I'm so excited to read this one. Again, I'm really hoping to add this onto my TBR soon, and I have to say thank you very much, Carrie, for helping me to diversify my shelves. Sticking with the diversifying, but this time from Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe, she got me Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, which I have read and I loved so much. I love Akwaeke Emezi, I adore Freshwater, it's really weird, but Pet is fantastic. I think it will be more palatable to a larger audience versus Freshwater, but I loved it as well. Thank you so much, Olivia. This is such an amazing book. I can totally see why you love it. This is fantastic. It's got some amazing representation in it. It's just, and it's beautifully written, and it's short, so I sped through it. This is fantastic. So once again, thank you. And I got all of those in April, and I got one book in May. The Skulduggery Pleasant Grimoire by Landy. This is it's a paraquel, apparently. Wow. All about the entire series up to date so far, as well as having another plotline running through it that runs through the history and beyond of what we've read so far in the series. I read this as soon as it arrived. This was a pre-order that I paid for myself, so the two books that I got myself this quarter were both Skulduggery Pleasant. So this is written by a white male Irish author, just seeing as I told you about the other people there. I believe Akwaeke Emezi, they are Nigerian? They're a non-binary Nigerian author, if I'm remembering correctly, and then American Black and Indigenous to the North Americas, and those two both identify as female, as far as I know. So, white, male, Irish. I adore this series so much. I will say as well, the series is a middle grade series that started in the early 2000s, like the early noughts. And so the representation wasn't great when it started. For the time, it was okay. It was decent for the time. You go back and reread it, the representation isn't fantastic, but I can tell you that Landy has improved as the books go on. As the books become more up to date, he has also learnt, educated himself, and they are better. So they're still not perfect, I won't lie. It is set in Ireland. There's not that many characters of colour. There are some, don't get me wrong, there are characters of colour, but they're not prominent, and I'm not sure as to whether that is because of any unconscious or conscious, but it seems to be unconscious bias in Landy, or if it's because it's set in Ireland. And although we do have people of colour on the British Isles, there's less of them in Ireland. So I don't know. But he's working on it, and he's doing really well with diversity in other aspects as well. So I will say, just considering this is the diversity haul, apparently, apart from these two, I adore this series so much. So much. So this was fantastic. If you have it and you aren't up to date yet, I will say that it is sectioned quite well for each and every book. I read this before I started this Mortal Coil, and I knew exactly where it stopped from what I'd read already and what I was going to read. So it's really good. And those are all of the books that I got this month. Just a small little haul there, and I've read 3 of the 5, so I don't think that's too shabby. I've just got these 2 left to read, both from Carrie. I'm really sorry, Carrie. Didn't do it on purpose, I promise. But yes, so I'm really excited to read both of these. Olivia, from Olivia Savannah, Olivia's Catastrophe, has said that she thinks I'll really enjoy A Song of Wraiths and Ruins, so I'm super excited about that, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about Black Sun, so both of them are books that I'm expecting to love, which is also partly why they're being delayed. It's partly why they've been pushed back a little bit. Don't question my reading tactics. But yes, so thank you so much to both Olivia and to Carrie. I love you both, and yeah, this is my little haul. So just a short, quick one there today, because I don't have that many books. But that's a good thing. Yeah, so surprise, surprise, I jinxed myself. So here I am. I filmed this on Saturday. It's Wednesday. I have books. And I didn't buy a single one of them myself. So, let's grab these out. Some of them I got in a box from my uncle, who sent a wee package, clearly, of books. First up, we have one that I'm not going to unwrap right now, but it is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. It's the second book in the series, The Chronicles of Narnia, the first one that was published. I actually have this in a box set already, but this is a really bright cover, and in my uncle's letter to me, he said that he thought this would look really good on my Bookstagram. So I agree, it's a beautiful bright cover, so I'll definitely be using it for my Bookstagram, and this was a childhood favourites series for me that I intend to reread at some point, so thank you. And then these are the other books that he sent me. So these are all books that he himself has read, and he wasn't going to use them anymore, he wasn't going to read them again, and so he thought he would send them on to me and I could do as I wish with them. The one that is least like something I would pick up by myself is The Tenderloin by John Butler. I've not heard of this ever. It's set in 1995 and it's about a Dublin boy leaving and moving to San Francisco, and between the internet revolution and the rave culture of San Fran, our naive main character is completely clueless about how to succeed. And then soon the troubles of his past catch up with him and everything begins to unravel. So a contemporary novel there with an interesting cover that I wouldn't have picked up, but it does sound interesting. So it's 300 pages. So I'm going to keep this one for a little bit and just see kind of if I do have the instinct to pick it up or not, and we'll go from there. Then we have Tales of the City by, did I say who this was by? Yes, John Butler. Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. Again, another one I don't know, the first volume in the acclaimed series. And it became a Netflix show. Someone will be shouting at me. Another one in San Francisco. My uncle has a thing for San Francisco, apparently. A naive ninth secretary forsakes Cleveland for San Fran, tumbling headlong into a brave new world of laundromat, Lotharios, cutthroat debutantes, and jockey shorts dance contest. Apparently it's manic, romantic, tawdry, touching, and outrageous. I know nothing. It sounds like a contemporary. It has a very interesting layout. Oh, it's floppy like an American one. And it looks kind of like a play, but not really, so it could be quite a quick read. And this is, again, about 300 pages. I don't know. I know nothing about this at all. I've never heard of these 4 books that my uncle has given me, ever. So, let me know if you've heard of this one. I mean, obviously, quite a few people have. It's been adapted for Netflix. Then we have Foundation by Mercedes Lackey, which is the first book in the Collegium Chronicles. This looks like a historical fiction with fantastical elements. Or maybe just a fantasy. Magpie has slaved in the gem mines of Valdemar for as long as he can remember, overworked and underfed, he's got nowhere else to go, until a stranger and 2 huge white horses force their way into the quarry looking for him. So then he's trained as herald for the newly founded Collegium in the capital city, and he's thrust into the centre of a legend in the making. Okay, I was like, I'm not sure if this is fantasy, it could just be historical fiction. No, right here, it says fantasy underneath the price. And it's also by Titan Books, which is a publisher I love. So, fingers crossed for this one. And then the final book, which sounds it sounds insane. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, this one is the one that I'm most excited for out of the 4 of them. And then he messaged me and said that he really hopes I like this one when I told him I'd received the package. And that is Sorcerer to the Crown by Zen Cho. For starters, look at this cover. And then for the synopsis, can you see it? You can see it. English magic faces its darkest hour. In Regency London, Zacharias Wythe is England's first African sorcerer royal, but how can he enjoy his position while a faction schemes to remove him? He's also haunted by his dead mentor, and the fairy court is refusing to supply England with magic, just when the government demands it for their blasted French war. Ambitious orphan Prunella is determined to escape a life of drudgery, so when the beleaguered sorcerer royal, that's not how you say that word, leave me alone, visits the school where she works, she seizes her opportunity. Prunella's stumbled upon the greatest magical discovery in centuries and intends to use it. The last thing Zacharias needs is a female magical prodigy, but together they could change sorcery forever. I think it looks really good. Okay, so those are the books from my uncle. So also Narnia, but it's wrapped up. But these are the upside down books from my wonderful uncle. And then lastly, is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. And I got this from my partner. I actually got to finally see him for the first time since October. So I saw him just 2 days before my birthday in October of 2020. And I just saw him 2 days before his birthday in June of 2021. So that's the only 2 times I've seen my partner in the past however long. But yes, I finally saw him. This was doing the rounds on the internet that it was in Sainsbury's. I checked my Sainsbury's, wasn't there. Sadness. He checked his Sainsbury's and it was there and he got it for me. So when I got to see him and he gave me my Christmas presents, I'm not joking, then I got this too. Fingers crossed that I don't get any more books prior to this being released, and you can now go back to your originally scheduled Abbey. It's a good job I just did an unhaul. I'm trying not to bring in too many books, and I'm trying to make the books that I bring in diverse. Of course, I will be carrying on with series that I want to carry on with, so I'm decently happy with the fact that this is diverse for the new books that I'm bringing in. So, it's not perfect, but I'm decently happy with this. Let me know in the comments down below which books you guys have gotten in the past quarter, and leave a black heart comment down there below for me. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Timing. That's my parents just back from my house here.